And now back to horrible food facts. Romany people, that's gypsies. That's the politically correct or just correct version of gypsies, I suppose. Well, either or is correct, but gypsies is especially like in over here in Blighty, for example. Chipper is like a proper is an insult. Um, yeah, gypsy people in Europe, whatever that means. I presume they mean like maybe Hungary and so on and so forth, getting on for uh, kind of Indo kind of Grecian between kind of areas or whatever. What do I know? Anyway, uh, they used to cook wild hedgehogs by rolling them in mud and baking them in the embers of a fire. And the idea is when the mud dries, the spines come off, and uh, they eat the hedgehog. And they do a similar thing. It's basically like clay cooking. I mean, the Chinese have done it for like 10,000 years with the leg of a cow or leg of a pig, roast it in clay, and it's supposed to peel off at the bone. Roast dog is sold on the streets of Vietnam. The back half of the dog comes with a tail intact. Why would you want to eat the tail? Uh, yeah, mealworms. Everybody knows what those are. Uh, People eat those. If you've ever seen Ben 10, you see, Grandpa Max likes to eat those. He fry mealworms up and everything like that. Sheep's eyeballs are eaten in some Arab countries of North Africa, and some Italians do as well. Particularly if you're from Sicily, it's supposed to be an old tradition. Maybe in Spain, maybe in some parts of like Andalusia in Spain, they do that as well. I won't be surprised because of the Moors and bringing bringing their culinary traditions over there when they colonized or whatever or took over and blah 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 when they you know you know stayed for hundreds of years essentially. Oh, speaking of something similar I was talking about with the Chinese. Uh, in China, bear paws are rested in clay. The fur comes off with the dry clay when they are done. In France, rats found in wine cellars were sometimes cooked in a sauce flavoured with red wine over a fire of burning wine barrels. That must have been when the French Revolution was going on and famines and stuff, most likely. Or it was probably more commonplace then. The Aztec dish Tlaxcalali was a stew made from corn and human beings. In the 1800s, naturalist Frank Buckland served meals such as mice on toast, roasted parrots, and stewed sea slug. He tried to make soup from an elephant's trunk, but even after several days cooking, it was still too chewy. Well, I hope he killed it. Or, it's almost like the same level of cruelty when Victorian poshos in Africa, would have you know rhino foot ashtray and elephant foot footstool. Wouldn't even kill him, or they just died a slow, painful death. Bird's nest soup is a delicacy in China. It's made from the nests of a special variety of swift that builds its nest from dried strands of its own spit. The nest is soaked in water to soften it. Then any sticks and feathers are removed before it is made into a gluey, sticky soup. Truffles are a kind of fungus that grow underground in forests, such as mainly in France. They say Europe a lot here, which is either just lazy, insulting, or just pigeonholing or a bit inaccurate, slightly, depending on how you feel politically and locale-wise. Yeah, truffles. Yeah, you mainly find them in like the mountains of southern France or hills. They're like a mushroom, and they use Well, they say it says here in this book they use pigs to smell them out, but this is an old kind of older book, and even then, I say older. I mean, I was a kid when this came out, but you know, it's all too common, pretty much, that pigs actually eat the truffles, so they use dogs. They use dogs more often than not. It was a tradition that you use pigs all the time, but I think people probably still use pigs. They probably have to be very, very disciplined, trained. Whereas the dogs, more likely to just fetch stuff, and the pigs would just a lot of them would just eat the truffles instead of bringing them back. Not all of them, but a lot. In the Middle Ages, a peacock was often roasted with its feathers on. The skin was inflated first to stop the feathers burning, and then pierced when the bird was cooked so that it appeared as though it were alive and served. Some Amazonian tribes used to make a soup with the ground bones of their dead relatives. Once at a Roman banquet, a slave stabbed the stomach of a roast boar to release a flock of live thrushes. In Texas, armadillos are sometimes roasted in their shells, stuffed with carrots, apples, and potatoes. The Ocoa pygmy tribe eat elephant meat with a serving of live maggots. I'm not sure if they're Africans or they're referring to, like, if we're talking about a pygmy tribe, then we're probably talking about pygmy elephants, which are from, I guess, between Indonesia and Philippines. So I'm guessing the Ocoa pygmy tribe are you know, kind of Indochina area. In some countries where people don't have food processors or forks, mothers chew up food to put into their babies' mouths. Some Jewish people ate the braised beef is brilliant. Got that out of the way. Some Jewish people eat the braised udder of a cow. There we go. Worms steamed whole in a jelly are a tasty treat in China. God knows why. The oldest surviving piece of chewing gum is 9,000 years old. In Vietnam, cobra hearts are a common snack. They can be eaten raw, even still beating, with a small glass of cobra blood or dropped into a glass of rice wine. The kidney is often included as an extra tidbit. US Air Force pilot Captain Scott O'Grady was shot down over Bosnia in 1995 and survived for 6 days eating only ants. That's that Owen Wilson movie, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think they did the ants thing, but I haven't really watched it. Yeah, the King Henry VIII thing I mentioned, in part one, and then the eighth, the first, the lampreys. That's debatable. That's either because he was fat, getting old, combination. Maybe he got and lampreys are from, a lot of them are from a river. I mean, he lived in a castle estate near a river. In somewhere not too far from Doncaster, North Yorkshire, near a river, I think. Maybe seawater flows in there as well, so lampreys might be, for all I know, both fresh water and salt water. But what do I know? Anyway, I know the disgusting parasitic type things, and if you don't cook them right, you die. So maybe that was it. And like I said, maybe there was some kind of cholera in there, but he could have easily died from broken toe infection or gout, or just all of that. He was a Norman, but people have their limits. Eel skin is so hard to remove that some people pull it off with pliers. Camel's feet are cooked in a light stock and served with vinaigrette. Only the feet of young camels are considered tasty. Oh, poor baby animals again. Camel feet can also be kept in camel milk. Yeah. The original recipe for baked beans included bear fat and maple syrup. Makes sense. Weren't they kind of a Wild West thing originally? That's another American thing that's a beloved British, household kind of snack meal, whatever. It all comes from somewhere roundabout. Things go back round. The Scottish dish haggis is made by cutting up the heart, lungs, liver, and small intestine of a calf or sheep and cooking it with suet. That's I forget what suet is. There's something called a suet pudding. It might be some kind of bread thing. I forget. Oatmeal. That's you think with this book they call it porridge instead, and then put oatmeal in brackets. Onions and herbs in the animal's stomach. Australian Aborigines like to eat witchetty grubs, the larvae of the ghost moth, raw and wriggling, or they can be barbecued on a wire for a couple of minutes like a kebab. I'd rather do that. This isn't I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Well, not when I'm eating. A restaurant in England recently offered stale porridge on its menu. Whatever recently is, when this book came out. What if they still sell it? And where, exactly? I'll have to look that up. I've tried snails before, they're not bad. Yeah, they are it's like seafood, but essentially. If you cook them a certain way. In the Faroe Islands, a favourite dish is puffin stuffed with rhubarb. That's some kind of Faroe Islands. That's like an not Old Norse whaling colony, I think. In China, eggs are buried underground until they go exceptionally bad and are then sold and eaten as 100-year-old eggs. In fact, they're about 2 years old. The yolks turn green and the whites turn grey or black. God knows how people don't die from those. In China, shark's fin soup is made from the salted, sun-dried fins of sharks. It is like a bowl of glue, as a fin contains a lot of gelatin. Sounds like a pain in the ass to eat, and you're wasting the rest of the meat. They've got some good shark steaks in Greece. Just have all of it. People in ancient China ate mice as a delicacy. Well, yeah. So did the Romans, so what? Roman feasts, speaking of, sometimes included the popular delicacy flamingo tongues. What is it with people with tongues? For his last meal, murderer Victor Figure chose a single olive. Some Amazonian people eat omelettes made from tarantula eggs. Maybe I'd try it. Honey found in ancient Egyptian tombs has been tasted by archaeologists and found to be edible still after thousands of years. And I mentioned this in one of my fun facts episodes. And seeing as I mentioned it, I might as well do the privilege of the courtesy of probably dropping it in there in the description if anyone still is to watch it. Which it might. Yeah, just before you watch that episode, there's a bit of a cacophony of music that I wanted to use like 2 tracks that kind of that fade into the other, but it didn't quite work. The U-cut has its limits, barring the premium stuff, and I'm still kind of figuring it out. The Japanese make natto by leaving soybeans to rot in straw until slimy and sticky and very smelly. I knew what natto was already before reading this book. Ryu's favourite food. Guile's, obviously Street Fighter characters. Guile's least favourite food. Ryu ordered some for him and he didn't like it. I'm not really surprised. I probably won't like it either. The Air Force Survival Manual issued to US Airmen explains which bugs to eat in an emergency for maximum taste and nutrition. The last meal of the Unabomber, Timothy McVeigh, was almost a litre of mint chip choc ice cream. Aussie supermarkets sell tins of witchetty grub soup. Sea slug is eaten in China and Spain. It's often sold dried and has to be soaked to restore it to its slimy, squishy, glory. You know, based on the of that one X-Files episode, Roadrunners. It's a kind of a sea slug type thing. You know, spoilers if anyone hasn't seen it. And the idea of that being slimy while I tucked into it, yeah, no tear. In France, over 40,000 metric tons of snails are consumed every year. Mealworms are supposed to taste better if cooked while they're alive. Blood soup is popular in many parts of the world. In Poland, people eat a duck blood soup called shanina. The pronunciation is probably a bit naff, unless you've been around Polish people. My dad has. He used to have a Polish girlfriend and got a workplace where they had a kind of a Polish community near Leeds. So his pronunciation is a lot better. You know, and hair wise, maybe from a distance, he looks a bit like a Silesian. I know I do. Yeah, cross between a French Canadian and a Silesian sometimes, I like to think. Who knows? That's why my eyes are so pretty. Yeah, and Koreans call it Guk, and in the Philippines, it's called Dinuguan. Iowa State University's Department of Entomology has published recipes for cooking with insects, including banana worm bread, crackers, and cheese dipped with candied crickets and mealworm fried rice. I think that's the only thing I'd try on there. In Ghana, half of the locally produced meat comes from rats. Sun-dried maggots have been eaten from China to North America. Central American wedding feasts often included honeyed ants. Included, so they don't do it anymore. Maybe they should go back to doing that, you know, just making a little crack about the Green Death, I suppose. Which is... It's morbidly funny in parts. You know, especially cracked up at a certain scene where the main douchebag basically gains the ire of one of the more rational older males, and he starts getting choked, which I thought was, you know, hilarious. Basically, when a pig is roasted, roasted pigs in Cuba have the skulls cracked open, and each guest takes a spoon to share scoops of brain. In 1973, a Swedish sweet salesman was buried in a coffin made of chocolate. In Mexico, a black fungus which infests maize is canned and sold. Looks like black slime with a few yellow lumps in it. If I've included you in the audience thing, I mean, any Mexicans out there or people with Mexican relatives, whatever, especially like, you know, commonly in the United States, do you have any, do you have any, like, did you eat it at home? Do you have any grandmas that like to eat that stuff? I don't think I'd like to try it, but, you know, I'm interested in comments and stuff like that. But, you know, of course, people are still to view part 1 of this episode. But, you know, it's a process on both sides. Water cockroaches are roasted and eaten in China, and it's recommended you don't leave the wings and the legs. A Korean delicacy called sanakji contains of slices of octopus tentacle, which are still wriggling. And there's a program where it was 1001 Stupid Ways to Die, where an American lad, mostly American, but kind of Korean, at least fully Korean or whatever, he was studying in, let's say, Seoul, and got serious with a born and bred Korean girl. Dad didn't like him, and to try and break bread with the dad, he ordered that, and he didn't eat it right, and it supposedly choked to death on the live octopus. Yeah. In the Philippines, fertilized duck or chicken eggs are cooked and eaten, with the unhatched chick partly grown inside, and it's called balut. Oysters are always eaten raw, alive, in UK and USA. Yeah, oysters nearly killed director Michael Winner, who's known for example, directing a lot of Charles Bronson films. Like Death Wish and stuff like that, and some Lee Marvin thing. Also, yeah, you know, the main guy who puts the Dirty Dozen together in the Dirty Dozen film. In Cambodia, giant grilled spiders are a popular street snack. An American delicacy called head cheese, similar to British brawn, is made by cooking a whole cow or pig head into a mush and letting it cool into a jelly-like mash. And here's another film reference. I like to keep this interesting, just like in the other one. I think, yeah, one of Leatherface's brothers, the hitchhiker, right at the beginning, he talks about that. You scoop it's real good. You scoop all the, whatever he says. I think he's talking about head cheese / brawn, and he will call it head cheese. Because he's from Texas. In China, people get their own back on poisonous scorpions by frying them. They said to taste rather like cashew nuts. I'll try 'em. Alaskan Indians bury salmon eggs in a jar for 90 days and eat them when they are truly rotten. Until 1999, it was legal to enjoy ortolans in France, which are a tiny, rare songbird found in a dark box. It's 3 times its normal size, when drowned in brandy and spit roasted for a few minutes before being eaten, all out in is included. And it was okay to leave the head and beak. Traditionally, it was eaten with a napkin draped over your head and the plate, so none of the delicious smell could escape. Someone was very drunk when they came up with that idea, or high, or both. In Finland, people cook blood pancakes. Kakambian from the Philippines is made of diced guts, which which basically you eat it all: the skin, hair, fat, and the meat. I don't know why you'd eat the hair. Maybe it's an alright consistency. Icelandics like to eat puffin and svi, singed and boiled sheep's head. In some parts of Asia, monkey brains are a delicacy, but it's a myth that they are eaten from the head while the monkey is still alive. In Mongolia, camel or horse milk is stored in a cleaned horse stomach or hide bag and hung up in a tent called a gur. Everyone who passes the door has to say or hit the bag, and it slowly ferments into a slightly alcoholic, cheesy yogurt drink from which everyone drinks, even children. In the winter festival of Thoroblot, Icelanders eat hakal, rotten shark. Shark meat is buried in the ground for 6 to 8 weeks and dried in open air for 2 months. Bagoong is a very smelly fermented paste made from mashed shrimps and eaten in the Philippines. In Palau, whole fruit bats complete with skin may be ordered as a starter for a main course. Bosilla is a Puerto Rican sausage made from rice boiled in pig's blood, stuffed into a sausage skin, and then fried. Sounds kind of like the Hispanic version of Hungarian blood sausage, I suppose. In southern Africa, large caterpillars called mopani can be bought in tins. In Ecuador, a family barbecue can include guinea pig and snake kebabs. I'll try that, even though Well, yeah. I mean, you can in the comments you can argue me with the whole. Why would you want to eat guinea pigs? Well, I tried dog too if it was there, but you know, it's different from when you have a pet. People keep pigs as pets, um, and conies, which are hunted rabbits. I'd still keep a pet rabbit as a pet. Just disassociate. In North Africa, people eat fried termites. In Brazil, people eat barbecued armadillo. In Hubei province, China, eels are served whole. The correct way to eat one is to bite through just behind the head and pull out the insides with chopsticks. In Hong Kong, you can buy packets of crispy fried crabs like packets of crisps. Wow, Hong Kong have got some really good snack food and fast food. I need to try it. The Japanese dish shiokara is made by fermenting squid in old fish guts. Why? I understand maybe during a famine or something like that, hundreds of years ago, like that awful Teme famine, which is so awful and infamous and real that it was mentioned in Kuzurage Edo's backstory, the cannibalistic demon monster from Samurai Showdown 5 or 6 or 6. Ate his daughter and turned into a demon, got punished for that. And that was supposed to be during the Teme famine of like 1793. So I understand maybe people would eat rotten fish guts and squid and squid balls. Speaking of balls, don't know why I said balls, but anything basically. When you're starving to death. Rocky Mountain oysters or prairie oysters are calves bollocks. Which countries Americans like to. I think it's more like a Nevada and Montana that kind of cowboy thing. But what do I know? All I know is that prairie oysters are not oysters in the slightest. But I think I'd rather eat bull's balls than oysters. But why does it have to be calves' testicles there? Poor things. In some rural parts of China, you can get owl soup. In Korea, it's possible to buy canned silkworm pupae or bags of silkworm from street vendors. The idea is to crunch the end of the grub and suck out the juices. I don't think so. Pass. Spider wine from Cambodia is actually rice wine, and the spider's added later. And so comes the end of, the food facts of Anne Rooney's 1001 Horrible Facts. And the next one is horrible animal facts, but I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to do that at some point. But anyway, yeah, this was another. Hopefully, it'll be riveting and pick up episode. Well, in terms of viewers and interest and stuff like that. Let's read a book. And so, yeah, this is me signing off.